Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's TST. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded. It will be shared live on YouTube, so please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share. There are a few topics we want to go over today. First is what still, like the two regressions we still need fixing for the release. We're working on them right now. I am working on them right now. I do have code for both of them, just not yet finalized for both. The regression in the vOLTHA app reported by Gustavo. Now have code that actually does the remove of the subscriber based on the old information that is contained in the provision subscriber map, but there's some EPO issue that I need to go through that Gustavo is seeing in his environment. So we'll make that fix, or if we cannot make it release with that known issue, and I'll still upload the patch I have. So maybe Gustavo can contribute to it at a later stage. When you reboot regression, I tried going down the path that we discussed last week, where we changed the event to actually have or a new down delete event to honors, so that it deletes the port and removes all the flows and does the reprovisioning, and that's a nice way of the clean way of doing it. It's just too much. We need to extend the protos. It's too complicated. So what I did today was a fairly quick fix. I introduced a property that can be changed from the different workflows, and it's a one-time configuration. We will put it in the Helm charts. I will make a patch for that as well. I did test it on the Turk Telecom workflow that we see failing because of this, and it's passing. I will have to ask maybe Amit to try to give it a spin in the Deutsche Telekom elements. We do have the test for the Deutsche Telekom, so I might run that one as well, setting the configuration to false, and then we'll just merge it if all of those test cases actually work. So that's the first two bullets. Any questions? Okay, then if there are no questions, there is a point that was asked by Amit and his team, that we go over the documentation that we have for the testing in vOLTHA, and how that is done through the setup of new jobs, triggering new jobs with custom parameters, etc. And there is a lot of good documentation that Hardik put together, and so thanks a lot to him on that. And I'll leave the floor to him to present this documentation and answer any questions. Hardik, please take it away. We cannot seem to be able to hear you. Hardik? Clearly in the meeting, but not there. So maybe while he figures out exactly he can join or not. So the document, I can start. The documentation is here, and maybe in the meantime, Hardik, please do rejoin the meeting. The documentation is here. It's under the docs.voltha.org. It's under the vOLTHA system tests part, and it includes the different type of tests that we run. Our suite does functional integration sanity. Here it describes what are the prerequisites and how to set up a test environment. That test environment is based on vOLTHA and BBSim deployed normally via the vOLTHA Helm charts README. And then you have to clone the vOLTHA system tests, and then you can just make sanity. that is make -c, the volta system test, sanity single kind. This tests the robot, tests for sanity in your local laptop and generates a report. And you can view the report with the report page, the HTML report page. You can run the different sanity. So this first one is a sanity AT&T. This one is a sanity DT, and this one is a sanity TT. And all of these are generated in this is functional, this is DT workflow, and this is TT workflow. You can change elements within the running of the tests by passing different types of variables within the robot file, the robot miscellaneous arguments, and you can see a full list of the variables.robot here in the vOLTHA system tests to see what you can change. And you can also give some config file to robot. There's some examples are in the tests data. Hardik, I see you're back. Do you want to take it over from me?
Yes, thanks, Andrea. Let me share my screen now. Okay. I hope you can see my screen now. Hello.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. So yes, as Andrea mentioned, I think this is the right page for anyone who wants to start understanding how the system tests work in vOLTHA. So yeah, these are the set of directories that we currently have in our vOLTHA test suite. For that information, you can go to yeah, and you can see we have all these test directories based on the different workflows, the different type of tests. And moving forward, yeah, if anyone wants to run the test, what they have to do is they just have to clone the vOLTHA system test repo and then trigger the required target. So the information about the targets can be found in the make file. As you can see, we have various targets predefined. Like if someone wants to run a functional suite with the DT workflow, they can just do a make with the functional single kind DT. Same for Turk Telecom, and similar we have lot many other test targets. And based on the requirement, the person can trigger that and should be able to see the results. So some of the more information about different workflows that we have are given here, like the DT workflow, same for telecom workflow. Um, yeah, so we have some test variables that are required by the robot file, which is the robot file, the robot miscellaneous arguments, and the robot config file. So these make targets, these are essentially for the BBSIM. If anyone wants to run on a physical pod, they can modify these targets as required. You can see all of them. They are part of our make file as well, and they can trigger the test with those requirements. Yeah, then if anyone wants to run the test on the physical pod, we have given the information for that as well. First, you need to do the deployment based using these Helm charts. And for data plane test, we need to do some more installations. Like for RG, you need to install the iPerf JQ, and for BNG, you need again an iPerf JQ or some DHCP server like that to trigger functional test. As it mentioned that all the functional tests for ATT are placed in the functional folder. For DT, it's a DT workflow. For TT, it's a TT workflow. Now, if anyone wants to trigger a test on a physical pod, all they have to do is just clone the repo, go to the directory, provide the make target, and give the robot file that they want to trigger, and the path of the config file. So currently in ONF, we have a different repo which is called pod configs, which holds the location of this config file for the physical test suite. For BBSIM scenarios, it's provided in the vOLTHA system test itself, and you can see in test data, we have all those files defined for the different configurations. Like this one is for a single BBSIM with a single ONU and a single subscriber. If someone wants to add some more tests, again, this is the link for the guide on how you can write a robot test suite, the standards that we follow here. After writing the test, if there is any requirement, if you want to import some new library or something, you can always mention that in the requirement of TXT, again as present in the vOLTHA system test repo. Then we do some some code checks, some basic checks to verify if it adheres to the standards at ONF. So for that we have this make link target. It checks if the length of the each line length is right, if the size of the file is right, and few more checks it does. So it's suggested, like, after you make any change, before submitting it to Jared, please run the make link target. Going forward, yeah. So this link, the robot test libraries, you can check the current set of libraries that we use. So these come again from the vOLTHA system test repo. These are all the test file that we currently have in vOLTHA system test repo. And then we use an external package which is called robot. So all that information can be found from these links for that, and these are the libraries that we use from that called robot library. This page gives information about our test automation that we run on the OpenCode Jenkins, as you can see here. So these are the tests that we currently run, and all the information about those can be found here. The type of test we run, which is like the vOLTHA to direct test, run the master build runs. Then we have the scale test. Then we have the soak test, and then we also run the verification jobs. Like, as you have seen, for per patch set verification, right? It does the basic sanity and runs that if at least if you are not breaking the sanity suit, the sanity for each of the submission. And then moving forward, the templates for all of these jobs are provided in this another repo, which is a CI management repo. And if you go there, we have the pipelines mentioned for each of the different type of tests we run. Like the BBSIM test file, it's the pipeline for all the BBSIM tests that we run on Jenkins. The physical build is the build file, which deploys and it automates all the process of the deployment, the configuration of the OLT, and all that stuff, right from pushing your sedis config. So this will give you a very complete system to triggering your test. Then to trigger the test automatically, we have another pipelines for DT, for ATT, for Turk Telecom, which automates the triggering of the test, again using the test targets as defined in the vOLTHA system test repo. And as you can see, we have mentioned the kind of BBSIM jobs that we run currently, um, for the master, for 2.9, for 2.8, and similarly, we have the jobs running on the physical pods, and these are the jobs that we currently run. The per patch set verification job that we. So this page should provide you all the essential information about that. Now, in some cases, for when you submit a patch on Jared, you might want to trigger a particular set of tests. So for that, we have defined a few test targets, and you can easily trigger that by providing an apt comment in the Gerrit patch. So like if you trigger hardware test functional test, so it will trigger the functional suit, ATT based functional suit on hardware. Same way for hardware test functional test GT, this will trigger the functional suit on hardware for DT workflow. Same way we have many other targets defined. If you want to add some more targets, that can be easily done again going into the CI management repo and make the changes at the required places. Um, yeah, same way we do the memory usage investigation. So we have the different profiles built for that. Again, like for the vOLTHA open on your DoctorGo, you can go to that directory and do the required build and uh, provide that image to Jenkins. It should do the job for you. So all the information is kind of provided here. Uh, so I think that's the broad overview of the whole the system test repo and how we run the test on Jenkins and how our pipeline works. So yeah, Andrea, over to you. I think that's all. Please add if I've missed anything.
I would say that before giving back to me, I would open up for questions to anybody that wants to learn more or wants to add to this if they would like to find more things around what we do. So actually, maybe going to Jenkins and showcasing how you could trigger a build with custom parameters, that could be useful. But I'm looking to everybody here to either add, for example, Thorsten, if you have anything to add, please feel free, or to ask questions. So the likes of Amit, you started this thread, so if you
Yeah,
have any questions, please do.
yeah. Thanks, Hardik, for the walkthrough. Yeah, I had the same question that they just pointed to. Right? So if we want to test some changes in a particular component, right? Then how do we go about running that particular image on a particular job that, in Jenkins?
Okay,
How
okay,
do we, how do
sure.
we
I can take it to that. So I hope you can still see my screen. I'm sharing the periodic Volta test BBSIM job. Okay, so say you want to trigger a particular run for that. Currently, you can see that how it runs on a daily basis. It runs at 0054 IST time zone, and so that's how it's getting run at the moment. Now, say you want to trigger a particular run for this, you can always go to build with parameters. Now you can see all the input that this job takes. It's running on this build node. These are the Helm flags that it currently uses. So currently it is running with the master image of all the components, master image of ONOS. It uses atomic replicas tree and some more parameters. Now, say you want to trigger this job with a different image. All you have to do is you just have to provide the details of this image as part of the extra helm flags, like say hyphen set images dot bbsim dot repository, the name of the equal to the name of the repository, and same way the tag of the image. So that can be provided here. Then you see the kind of target it currently runs. So it runs a functional suit, it runs the alarm test, it runs the failure scenarios, it runs the error scenarios, it runs the HA test, and all these currently it is running on the ATT workflow. Then there are a few more things that it takes, like whether you want to tear down the suit at the end of the run, because some test runs are kind of interdependent. So it could be like your next suit might need some information from the previous suit. So we kind of provide that as well here. As you can see, the tear down for the bbsim failure scenarios is false. So It will not do the fresh deployment before running the suit. It will use the suit in the same state as it was before when it executed, say, the BBSIM alarms kind target. Then you can provide, okay, whether you want to do the logging. Uh, yeah. Then I mentioned the branch. So say the code repo that you want to run this on. So this is master. Now comes the Gerrit project. So these few fields are kind of populated when it does the verification job. So on which Gerrit project it is running on, what is the Gerrit ID that it is running on. So it fills this automatically for that. Then it takes whether you want to enable the Mac learning, if you want to provide any more flags to your robot suit. Now if you have made some changes, say, into some test, and you want to test this against this job, what all you have to do is you just have to give the reference of the Gerrit patch here, and it should automatically take that. Same way, if you want to test any change in the Helm charts, that you can do it from here. The information it takes is like, okay, the number of OLTs you want to deploy and the log level that you want to do, whether you want to have it in monitoring. And so each job could have a certain set of different options that you can modify to run the job with your requirements. So like as this is for as an example for the BBSIN job, similarly you can take a look at
Hardik, one second. Can you go back to the parameters?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to touch upon that the vOLTHA, the system test patch number and the Helm chart change.
Yeah.
Those are often used when you need to have a verification on patch set that requires changes in the Helm chart and or in the test. Sometimes you make a change in vOLTHA that requires a different Helm chart to work, and you cannot verify one patch without the other. And so this is the way to get them to verify together.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks to you for elaborating on that. Same way, you can see, say, for sorry, I think I need to log in. Yeah. So this is an example for a physical pod job. So all the physical pod jobs are divided into two. One is the build job and one is the test job. So currently I'm showing you an example of the build job. This has somewhat similar parameters, some are different. Like the log level, you can always give the the log level of the components that you are deploying. It uses certain directories like the config based directory, which is pod configs as it mentions there. So this touches from where you want to give the input of the configuration of your pods, right? So all these are different directories. These are kind of the repos that we have in at ONF, that from where it picks all this information. Then you can always mention the type of profile you want to use. TPH's default one, you can give 1T4 gem, 1T8 gem based on your requirement. Then you give the branch that you want to build this on, the workflow that you want to build this with, if there are any other new Helm flags that you want to pass to this, like your private image that you can give like hi-fi set your image tag. Uh, then it takes some more components, like whether you want to install a single instance of Honors or multi-instance of Honors, whether you want to deploy it with FTTB, whether you want to deploy it with multi-uni, and if it's a multi-uni, what's the uniport mask that you want to bring pod width. If you want to install, BBSIM also as part of this deployment, even though this is a physical pod. We do this in our soak pod testing. So we deploy some BBSIM multis to provide some load on the system. Then you can mention that the atomics, the Kafka, etcd, and some more information as part of this. Now again, as Dio mentioned, if you want to make some, if you have made some change into vOLTHA system test repo that you want to change, you can provide the reference of the Gerrit patch here. Same for the vOLTHA system, vOLTHA Helm charts change, and so on. So yeah. And for equivalent to each physical pod job, the build job, we have a test job as well. And then each job, I don't know what's asking me to log in each time. So like you would have seen, like we have a flex pod multi-unit TP vOLTHA master. So this is the build job. Corresponding to this is the test job we have. So even this is automated in the sense, like whenever we see a successful build, we get the test job automatically triggered against that build. And same for the test job, you have some parameters that you can configure similar to your build job. Like it takes some more parameters, like if your hardware pod, your physical pod has a power switch that enables some more test skills are specific to that, whether you want power cycle, the OLT. So these are the few more parameters that you can always configure. Amit, Andrea, you would like to add, or Amit, if you have anything more to ask?
Yeah, so one question that I have is I logged in, but I don't see all the options that you see, that I can see on your screen. Is it because of the permissions that I have on Jenkins.openpod, or
Yes,
is it some
so
configuration that I need to do?
Manually, you need certain permissions.
Yeah, and I have, it's a good point, Amit. I've asked again on an email thread to Zach and the ONF folks to enable this for at least 3 people, and that's you, it's Mahir, and it's Thorsten. It's a request that I've been doing for a long time, and then we have not yet got it. I stressed the key importance of this. You will get that capability as soon as somebody listens to me.
That's getting picked out just from the profile of the user who logs in, and
Yes.
it's not in configuration. Okay.
No. It's the same as giving +2 access and things like that. So you will be capable of doing that, and with that, you will also be capable of disabling jobs. So that option is being very useful, especially to debug on hardware, because whenever a hardware fails on a pod, we usually run many tests on the same pod. So what you want to do to debug or test something on hardware is to disable all the jobs that are present on the pod. And Hardik showed you the build versus the test. So you disable the build, the test will never trigger. You disable the build job, run the one you want or run the workflow you want, and then when you're done, re-enable it. So it goes smoothly again on the scheduled time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions on or anything to add to what Hardik presented? No? Okay. Then I will take back presentation rights, Hardik, if you don't mind.
Yes, Andrea, please. Thank you.
The other thing that I want people to start looking at and really ask questions around, if they have, is the vOLTHA release process. This is something that we will do in the next couple of days, myself, Matteo, Girish, and Hardik, but then it's going to come a time where we will not be here and this needs to get done. So this page, I tried my best, it's done, it's there, and it includes like a dump of all of my knowledge and a dump of also Girish's and Theo's and Hardik's knowledge on everything. We will try and follow this. We will follow this during the release process and see if we missed something. So we will add it in case we missed it. But please do go over this page in your spare time and come up with questions and thoughts on this as well. Make sense?
Just to comment on that, is the release process is actually pretty straightforward because you release the components by just setting the version file to a release version, and then you update the Helm chart, and when you update the release, and the Helm chart is the only repository that needs a branch for the release, basically.
Yes, there is a difference in how you do the ONOS applications that is described here. Those need a manual job and they need a specific ordering for them to be released. But given that maybe we're dropping ONOS, this might not be related anymore, but it's there. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. You also need to tag the different other components, such as the vOLTHA system test, the documentation, and the CI management. Here, there is also a description of the bugs and how it updates fixes and if a fix is needed in the ONOS applications. So, yeah, but what Matteo said, it's true. The process is pretty straightforward. It's all automated, it's all done for you. So it could be this is a plus. That's what I'm saying. That's what we are saying. Okay, great. So the last topic of the day that I had is how going forward the community should work. I have discussed this with Amit and Mahir, which are going to co-lead the TST. So maybe Amit, why don't you take the lead, or Mahir, why don't you take the lead on this?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so the topic is the communication that needs to happen within the community, right? So what would be the appropriate mechanisms? So currently we are using the Slack channels, and the vOLTHA discuss group is not being used for that actively for communication. So what would be a good approach or good way of going ahead with this? So at least in my opinion, I think big design discussions can happen in the vOLTHA discuss group, so that it's easier to follow and we can look up on things that have been there for quite some time, as in look into the history of things, and use the Slack channel for getting prompt replies, right? So if you're having trouble with something or need quick responses, use the Slack channels for those. So yeah, but it's open for us to discuss and see what would be the suggestions for this.
Anybody, any thoughts?
I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. I think more often we see, Slack being used for, big discussions, and that's, in my opinion, Slack seems ephemeral. I mean, I think we are on a Prime membership and it has infinite, history, but still it's hard to look up, a previous history, find questions and answers. Google Groups or, discourse that is used for P4 community. I think those are ideal.
And that's why I think the add-on bug-related elements could need to definitely go um, into Slack, but the long-term release and design documents and things like that need to go on a mailing list. So there's kind of two sides to the picture, and I think what Amit is discussing is also the fact that right now there were also like ad hoc channels for different elements within the vOLTHA community for within different subgroups. And what he's encouraging is everybody to step up and use the vOLTHA Discuss and the vOLTHA Dev channels that are present on our Slack, on the ONF Slack. And that would help the whole community rally against the issues that are presented and the discussions that are brought up using that means of communication. So that is the suggestion that is being applied here or suggested here.
Yeah. Also, the leads or anyone who is actively participating should prompt anyone who tries to have long discussions. Or anything that could move to Google Group. I think we should, prompt in a nice way, to move that discussion to Google Group. It's helpful for the entire community. Does that make sense?
Yes. And this actually brings me as a follow-up to that's not written anywhere here, but it's the last TST that I am going to lead, and it's the last TST that I think most the XONF team will participate in the same capacity that we have been doing for the past years. Bit of a emotional moment for myself. It's been a great pleasure working with everybody, and I've learned so much in this span of time. And I would really like to thank the whole community here for what they have given to me and to us as a team, and also very much appreciate each and every one of you with all the contributions, the friendship, the relationships, and the discussions that we have done together. I'm sure that you are in very capable hands with Amit and Mahir and Timon within ONF as well, and maybe and even more people that are gonna come soon. So yeah, just a huge thanks from my side, and I hope to work with each and every one of you again at some point in the future. I don't know if Matteo, Girish, or Hardik want to add something. It's just a huge thank you from my side.
Andrea, there's one point I would like to bring up.
Oh, sure. Hey,
okay. Yeah. Hi, Chip. Good to see you in the list. This is Holger speaking. I would like to ask you if you are still available on the BCSW email address, because I tried to contact you there. Is this address still valid?
Yes, I've been out on vacation, and then I've just got back to work. I've just been swamped, so I'll hopefully catch up. My apologies.
Okay.
A little bit sick, got COVID, unfortunately.
Oh, good. I hope you are well now again. Okay, I thought you separated from the project, and it's good to hear that you are still on board.
Yeah, there are a few elements on the OMCI libgo and the extended ME stuff that would require you guys working together, and I know you will take care of those.
Sure.
Andrea, Matteo, Girish, and Hardik, I also want to thank you, all of you, for all of your contributions and your friendship. We will miss you.
Thanks, Mahir. I'll miss working in this team as well.
Yeah, let me say too, Andre, you've done a wonderful job, the whole ONF team as well. And so, this will be, a transition for this whole community. But, I just want to really express my gratitude and appreciation for all the work and the great progress this community has seen over the last year or so.
Yeah, I may, continue to participate in very limited capacity in some of the calls for, some months, maybe until end of September. I don't know, but you will continue to see me probably in some of the TST calls. I'll try and answer any, questions, but I may not solve bugs or take up features, but I may every now and then, try to answer some questions. Let's see how it goes, but mostly I'll be working for Intel, but I can try to help as much as I can. And I have enjoyed working with all of you. I think I have been associated with this project for close to 5 years. It's been fun, and I think it's in better shape than ever. I can see now, I mean, there are 20 participants. I don't know the last time I saw 20 participants on this call. So I think it's going good. Yeah, happy for all of you.
Yeah, Andrea, Girish, Theo, Hardik, can't thank you more for all you have done for the project, right? And your expertise in the different areas would definitely be missed. Hopefully, we ramp up to that quickly and continue with the same pace. Thanks for all the hard work.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Andrea and Girish said. It's been a long journey. I've learned a lot of things during this journey, and it's been very pleasant to work with you all most of the time. No, joking. It's always been nice. It was sometimes was emotionally hard to work on vOLTHA when things were not working or things were hard, but looking on where we are, I'm very proud of what this community achieved with such limited resources and quote unquote a short time.
I'm sure the first few releases were not that much fun.
Releases are never fun. That's something I can tell anyone who's gonna pick that up, be prepared, because when you're preparing a release, the entire world stops working.
Yeah, there is.
That happens every single time.
Yeah, there's a running joke that all the time before we make a release, the stuff that was working stops working for like 3 weeks, and then we have to fix everything in like 4 days.
And it's happening now as well.
Yeah, exactly, and it's happening now, so it's okay. But again,
yeah,
we will manage.
Even I would like to thanks everyone in the community, and it was fun working with everyone, and it was great pleasure, and I think I had a great learning, and it's been now almost like around 4 years associated with this project. And this is when I actually transitioned from being a developer to now in a test profile as well. So yeah, it was a great learning and great experience. Thank you, everyone.
So yeah, thanks. I to echo Mateo's point, I came in when it was already easy. when the release were okay, we need to do it, but at least the infrastructure was in place. And I also like to extend my thanks and my best wishes to all the teams that stand behind each and every one of you. All the team at Radisys, all the team at Netsia, all the team in South America, in North America, and in all of your companies that have really worked strongly with us. I have a great and deep appreciation for each and every one of you. So please, anybody here that has knowledge of people that have been working on the project and we have been interacting with, just say thanks. Say thanks from this team. And before I forget, I do have a plug for July 7th. I forgot to put it in the agenda. I will do it now. So on July 7th, myself, Mahir, Amit, and Timon and Elia will have a webinar around the 2.10 release, and that is going to describe what we have done in the 2.10 release. So please come, and we'd like to see you there. But please do register at this link. Okay, and we'll do the release in the upcoming days. Target is Thursday, end of business Pacific. If that doesn't work, Friday, end of business Pacific, 1st of July, that's okay. And that is the two targets we have. We're fixing the latest issues that we're seeing and testing the latest minor elements that we had to put in as bug fixes, and then we will release, and I will put out the release notes as usual. Okay, anything else, guys? No? Okay, then if not, thanks everybody for joining. Thanks again for all the work, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Ciao.
Cheers.
Thanks to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.